Hey everybody, it's Beth from Yoga and Reiki Bliss, and I'm popping in today with a practice to help us explore triangle pose. And what I'm interested in triangle pose is the movement of the pelvis. I like to look at triangle pose as a hip movement, not just a side bend through the spine. So that's what we're going to play around with today. How do we find that movement? How do we find the freedom to make that movement? For our practice today, you can have a couple of blocks, maybe a blanket, a strap would be great. And let's hop on the mat. And we're going to start lying down. And start with the knees bent. Have your strap handy dandy in your body. Just give yourself a moment to settle and breathe. To know you're lying here. Feel the weight of your body, little by little, releasing into the earth. You just have a moment to remind yourself that for this moment, you don't have to do anything other than be here and breathe. Then you notice the rise and fall of your breath. You can just enjoy the simple act of breathing. Go ahead and let your feet widen a little bit. Maybe as wide as your yoga mat. Notice that the arms open out like a T shape. And let's turn the arms so the palms face up. Just let as much as you can, let the shoulders rest heavy into the earth. And the next time you exhale, we're going to let the knees fall gently to your left. However far they go, no force. And as you inhale, we'll float the knees up. And as you exhale, we'll fall the knees over. All right, just do that a couple of times. Notice as the left thigh rotates out, the right thigh rotates in, what happens to your pelvis. Let's go one more time each side, allowing that little rotation through the pelvis, little rotation through the spine. Bring a little movement through the hip spine region. Then the next time you inhale, let's bring the knees back up. And let's invite the right knee into your chest. And here might be a really lovely time to slip a strap around your thigh so that you can just have a nice grip without overdoing it through the shoulders. And let's inhale the right leg up to the sky. Give a gentle point through your ankle, your toes to the sky. When you exhale, flex your ankle. Let's do that again. Point through the ankle, the toes to the sky. As you exhale, flex your ankle like you're stepping on the ceiling. Let's do that one more time. Then I'm going to leave that ankle to flex. Enjoy your breath in. Enjoy your breath out. And bring your leg as close as you comfortably can without changing too much in this pelvic low back region. And let's invite one more breath. Then slip your strap or your scarf, whatever's acting as your strap, into your right hand. And turn your right thigh out in the socket so that the kneecap is facing toward the right. Allow your left thigh to rotate open like a half a butterfly. And if you need a block or blanket, you could put that under your thigh or even your own fist. And then let your right leg open out to the right as well. So the two thighs moving away from the midline of your body. And as you do that, is it possible to keep the belly button facing a little more skyward? So you're just exploring what's possible in terms of the hips and thighs. Gently breathe. One more breath in and one more breath out. And as you breathe in, gather the legs back up to the midline. And release your strap and bend your right knee. And let's cross the right ankle over top of the left knee. And we'll try to shimmy that ankle off to the left a little bit. So your ankle's pretty even, right? It's not getting twisted in one direction or the other. Now let's take this right thigh. As you inhale, rotate the thigh in. So your knee starts to face a little more towards your belly. And then rotate your thigh out. We'll do that a couple of times. Just bringing a little movement into that hip socket. Do so in a way that doesn't create any sense of congestion or pinching or pain. Just gently rotate in and out one more time. And then we'll keep that thigh rotated out. And bring the shape towards you if that feels appropriate. You've already got some stretch in your outer hip with the foot down and stay there. Otherwise, bring this shape a little bit towards you. Enjoy a few breaths. And the next time you exhale, we'll return that foot. And then we'll return the right foot. Find a breath in. And find a breath out. And just notice the way your right hip feels, your thigh, maybe even your inner thigh. Just notice that whole area. And then we'll check it in on the left. With your exhale next, bring your left knee in. Slip your strap around your thigh, your scarf or belt. And when you inhale, let's upstretch the left leg. And we'll point through the ankle joint so your toes reach the sky. And we'll flex through your ankle joint like you're stepping on the ceiling. Let's do that 2 more times. Bring a little movement through the ankle, a little stretch through the calf even, so that when we're standing on it, and maybe have a little more freedom in that joint. And then we'll try to draw this thigh a little closer. Again, without disturbing your pelvis or spine. What does that mean, right? So we're going to see if it's possible to keep the low back in its neutral curve, which is a little bit away from the ground. Everybody's got a different sense of that curve. But basically trying not to move toward a cat pose or lift your bum. Let's take one more breath. Now I'm going to take the left thigh and turn it out in the hip socket, however far yours goes, right? No forcing here. And then let the right thigh open out in that half butterfly shape. And so in triangle pose, the thigh has an outward rotation. So we're just trying to find that here on our back. Bring a little sense of lengthening or stretch to the inner thigh. Because when that area is tight, it can inhibit the movement of the pelvis, in particular in triangle pose. So we're just seeing, can we move the thigh without changing the pelvis too much right now? And that would be front to back like before, and not letting your back round too much to the ground, your low back. And not even trying to let the pelvis rotate to the right or to the left, or shift to the right or to the left. Now the next time you inhale, let's bring everything back to the center. Remove your strap and bend your left knee and let your left thigh rotate out. We're crossing ankle over knee and just trying to shimmy that ankle off to the right. Then we'll rotate the thigh in and rotate the thigh out. We'll do that a few times. Again, just nice, easy. Seeing what's available. Noticing if there's any sense of stickiness in this hip. And the next time you rotate your thigh out, we'll leave it there. If you've got a little stretch sensation, stay. If not, you can draw the shape towards you. Just enjoy your breath. Try to keep the back of the head pretty heavy so the neck stays easy. And the next time you exhale, we'll release everything down. And just notice each side how it feels. Now with your exhale next, let's bring both knees to your chest. And here, if the low back rounds into the earth, we're not going to get too worried about it. Let it happen, because your thighs are kind of pressing into your hips, into your pelvis. But let your legs walk wide from each other. You're going to keep the legs wide, and the next time you exhale, you're going to roll to your left, eventually letting the right leg come on top. Then when you inhale, lead with your right leg, roll onto your back, keep the legs wide, and then roll all the way over to your right, eventually letting the left leg come on top. You can do that again. Inhale, leading with your left leg. Keep the legs wide apart as you roll onto your back and all the way over to the left. And lift your right leg, let the left leg stay heavy for as long as it can and wide as you roll to your back and all the way over to the other side. We'll go one more time each side. Gently rocking side to side. And when you get to your right side again, take a moment, let your left hand come onto your, and let's go all the way up. Terrific. All right. Let's move our way into a little tabletop. And we'll be here for a little bit, so it might be nice to put a blanket under your knees. Let your knees set under your hips. Let your hands set under your shoulders, let the fingers spread. Find your breath again. And when you exhale, let's tuck the tail. So there's that backward tilt of the pelvis and round your spine. And when you inhale, let your pelvis tilt forward so your tail curls up to the sky and you start to shift into a little back bend, cow pose. As you exhale, tilt your pelvis back and notice how that travels through your low back and mid back, rough back. Even let your head release into a little state of flexion. As you inhale, let your pelvis tilt forward. And let a little back bend creep through the whole length of your spine. And let your head lift gently. A couple more rounds like this. You start to feel what flexion, what rounding feels like. And you start to feel what a little back bend or extension feels. Go through each shape one more time. See if there's a spot where it feels like the middle, where the pelvis isn't tipped forward like a cow or tilted back like a cat, somewhere in the middle. And then from here, we're going to tuck all the toes under. And when you exhale, rock your hips back towards your right heel. And let your left thigh rotate out so your knee kind of faces to the sky. And bring everything back. And check it in on the other side. Rock your hips towards your left heel, rotate your right thigh out. Your foot stays on the ground. We're just finding that external rotation. Rock toward your right heel, rotate your left thigh out. Rock toward your left heel, rotate your right. A couple more times. Keep your strong hands rooting through your fingerprints. Do that one more time. All right, from here, if you've got yoga blocks, you're welcome to slip your hands up onto them and walk them right under your shoulders. I like having a little bit of space every now and again from the earth. Give a little push of the ground away. And when you exhale, go ahead and step your right foot forward. And take it to the outside of your block. So my foot's just a little bit wider than my block. Tuck your right toes under, your left toes under, lift your left knee. Give a little push into your block and take a breath in and take a breath out. And then play around with rotating your thigh out a little bit, your toes and your knee trying to track in the same plane. And just notice what that feels like, as if you could lead with your inner thigh and draw back through your outer thigh. One more breath. Then return your back knee to the earth, bring your right knee back. And let's check it in on the left. Give a little push of your blocks down or your earth away. Step your left foot wide of your block. Tuck your right toes under, lift your right knee, and just stay a moment before we make any changes. And then if you were to rotate your thigh out a bit and turn your toes out, again, the knee and the toes in the same direction, notice if that changes your awareness of your inner thighs. I like to think, again, leading the inner thigh forward, the outer thigh back with this big circuit of energy. And let's take one more breath in. But this time when we exhale, let's step forward to the slightly wide forward fold. Enjoy your moment to breathe. Then when you inhale next, slide your hands up onto your thighs and stretch your heart forward. Exhale your breath and ease your shoulders a little away from your ears. Press into your heels, bring your pelvis all the way up to stand. And let's make our way into mountain pose, Tadasana. You might want to clear a little bit of room behind you, so I'm going to move my blanket off to the side. You might want to have your blocks at the front of your yoga mat, whatever that front looks like, on any plate. Let's just take a moment in Tadasana. And again, that feeling of your pelvis. Not too much like cow pose, not too much like cat pose, somewhere in the middle. And bringing the weight of your pelvis over your ankles. You're rooting into the sturdy parts of your legs and feet. When you're ready to breathe in, let's let the arms sweep out in line. And as you exhale, drop the prayer through the center and hinge your hips forward. When you can't hinge, release your hands to the ground or your blocks. Let your hands. With the breath in, let's send the right leg back. And straighten your left leg again. Take a gentle breath in. And a gentle breath out. And for a moment, rise up tall on your back foot. Turn your thigh and your toes so they face forward. Even let your right hip face a little forward and down. And then reach straight back and down through that heel. Doesn't have to touch. We want you to have that strong back leg. Now, when you breathe in, let's walk around to the right and turn all your toes. And gentle fold in, Prasarita Padottanasana. And just notice the weight of your body still over your heels and ankles. You're going to creep toward your toes. Let's find that sturdy rooting down through the heels. And one more breath. Then when you inhale, rise to your fingertips. Exhale your hands to your hips, and then breathe your pelvis all the way upright, your spine all the way upright. Let's take the left thigh and rotate your left thigh out. And then take your right thigh and rotate your right thigh in a bit. So your toes face a little forward. And as a result, your knee is facing in the same direction, your hip is facing in the same direction. So everything's sort of on this diagonal. And then see if that gives you room as you bend your left knee to move your knee more center of your foot rather than toward the big toe side. So the pelvis has a slight little rotation. And then from here, you're going to rotate your trunk, your rib cage, your shoulders to your right. And if the pelvis goes with you, that's fine. But I'd love you to keep thinking of where this knee is. Straight ahead. Then let's open the arms. Here we are, warrior two. Let's breathe the breath in and breathe the breath out. Now here's where I think it gets interesting. Go ahead, take your hands to your hips again and take your pelvis and tilt the pelvis over your thigh. And so as we get here, I'd like you to think of this right hip point dropping a little forward and down, and then bring yourself back up. And so we're trying to take the bowl of the pelvis and move it over the top of the left femur bone, particularly. And come on up. Obviously, it's rolling over the right femur bone as well, the thigh bone as well. And one more time, take it over. You can put your forearm on your thigh or your hand on the block. I'm going to put mine on the outside. And I'm going to press my thigh and my arm together. And so this is the setup of the pelvis for triangle pose. And I like coming into it from side angle. So I kind of take the inner thigh a little bit out of the way. It's a little on the slack. And then I'm going to turn the belly and the chest to the right. And just notice your pelvis. Is it a little bit like cow pose? Is it a little bit like cat pose? Could it be somewhere in the middle? We'll take one more breath. Now let's straight to the left leg. Your hand could stay on the block, but I'd rather you place it in a way that your belly and your chest can stay open, as opposed to reaching down, right, to the ground and distorting that. I want you to have access to your breath. So your diaphragm is right here, above the abdomen and at the base, at the bottom of the chest cavity. So we want that breathing muscle to be able to do its thing. So take one more breath. And bend your front knee and come all the way up. Now let's take the whole thing again. Take a breath in. Tilt your pelvis forward and down over that left thigh. Slip your hand onto your block. When you inhale, straighten your front leg. Turn the belly and your chest a little to the right. If you can just imagine the length of your spine coming right from your pelvis through your head, right? Because that's where the spine comes out. We'll take one more breath. And bend your front knee. Come up, warrior two. And tilt it back, peaceful warrior. As you breathe in, take your hands to your blocks of the earth. Pivot up onto your back toes and step forward and forward. Breathe your hands to your thighs. Lengthen your spine halfway up. And gently release forward and down. With a breath in, send your left leg back. And straighten your right leg in. Then walk your blocks back with you as you fold it. Then let's rise up tall on the back toes. Let's turn that thigh so the toes, the kneecap face forward, hip faces forward. Then reach that heel back and down. And see if you can get a sense of your pelvis folding over in this forward to back sagittal plane movement. We'll take one more breath. So as you inhale, turn all your toes to the left. Walk yourself around to the left. Your blocks can come with you or not, your choice. And invite a gentle breath in and a gentle breath out. When you breathe in, rise up onto your fingertips or even up onto your block. We're going to keep the legs in this wide position and let your pelvis rock side to side. A little gentle rocking as you move the pelvis to your left. Notice what your right inner thigh feels like. As you move your pelvis to the right, notice what your left inner thigh feels like. Just notice if one side feels tighter or more restricted than the other. And then we're going to bring the pelvis back to the center, evenly weighted between the 2 feet. Then we'll crawl the hands up onto the hips and bring the pelvis upright. And so something that I think is so interesting about the body is if we were to try to side tilt pelvis, say to the left here, to the right here, there's only so far we can go, right? Same with the left, right? Because the legs are turned, our bones kind of run into each other. So we're going to rotate the right thigh out and rotate the left thigh in. So with the right thigh rotating out, your kneecap, your toes will be facing forward. You can even sheet it a little to the right to facilitate that external rotation. So we're getting the outer portion of the hip where there's a knobby part of the bone, or outer portion of the thigh where there's a knobby part of the bone out of the way. And then we're going to bend the front knee. Again, we're going to let this hip come a little forward in relation so that the inner thigh doesn't get pulled back this way, right? So you're just trying to free up some space there. And then you can turn the trunk to the left and open up your arms, warrior two. And breathe your breath. Now go ahead and take your hands to your hips and take the whole pelvis and tilt it over your front right thigh. So even that left hip coming a little forward and down, and then bring it back. So you can find that full movement, smooth movement, and bring it back up. And so with this, the spine doesn't really have to change too much. It's less about a side bending and more of side tilting the pelvis. You can put your forearm on your thigh. I'm going to do the block on the outside because I like that feeling of hugging my arm and my thigh together. I can really sense my outer hips, which is a really important thing, those outer hip muscles stabilizing the pelvis. Then give a little length to your spine and turn your belly and your chest to the left. Great. And hopefully your front knee didn't move. Now let's go ahead and straighten the leg. And with the thought of this being more of a pelvic side tilt, as opposed to a side bend of the spine, where do you need to place your hand to keep the length in your spine? Is it up on a block or two? Is it on your shin? Right, so the goal isn't to get the hand to the ground at any expense. The goal, in my estimation, is to invite some length, movement in the pelvis and some length in the spine. And freedom for our breath. And let's take one more. And when you inhale, bend your front knee, come up. Let's take the whole thing one more time. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, tilt your pelvis over your thigh and let your left hip come forward and down. Rest your hand. When you inhale, bring a little length to your spine. As you exhale, turn your belly and your chest a little to the left without straightening the right knee. Keep hugging it out. Then straighten your front leg. Let your hand find a place to be in support of this length of the spine, in support of this opening for your breath. And notice, again, less of a side bend, more of a pelvic side tilt. When you inhale, bend your front knee, come up, warrior two, tilt yourself back, peaceful warrior. As you breathe in, let your hands float down to your blocks to the earth, pivot up into your back tilt, and step forward to fold. Enjoy a breath in, enjoy a breath out. Now when you inhale, go ahead, sweep out right all the way up, and exhale your hands to your heart. Take a moment to enjoy your breath. Appreciate your effort and your willingness to explore. So that's just a little fun exploration of triangle pose and a little breakdown of triangle pose. If you have any questions, let me know. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube page, feel free to do so. I'd love for you to be there. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. For more information about my classes and other videos to practice with, you can find me at thisisyourbliss.com. Take care, everybody. Bye.